Good morning, everyone. So it's a beautiful sunny morning, although the sun is just sort of popping behind and in front of the clouds, but it's sunny right now. And we're on holidays in Mallacoota, and I thought I'd do a little bit of work with you on my Roxy Journal of Stitchery down the garden path piece. This is most likely the last larger piece that I'll be stitching, and I suspect I'll add the final prompt just into the broader way that I'm going to be bringing the pieces together into a wall hanging, just like I'll be adding the bird houses prompt and the bird bath prompt as sort of embellishments on my broader wall hanging panel. So this is the last piece I think that needs stitching done on it. I was working on it in the car on the way here. It was about a 5.5 hour car journey. So I was doing lots of painting with thread on my little cats that you can see over here. So yeah, I think that was the bulk of what I did in the car. I wasn't obviously stitching all the time, but I did a fair bit of stitching, and there is just an incredible amount of detailed little stitches. You can probably actually tell it a lot more on the back if you just see how many stitches are there and then how many stitches are here. It is quite amazing, just the number of stitches. It's just dense. The whole the piece just feels like one single bit of fabric because it's all so stitched together. So I thought we could just add a few more stitches to the cat. So what I've done with the cat is he's got, in this area, he's got white, but then I wanted to add a little bit more definition because the actual design then had almost a creamy colour with the white. So I've just used some of this vintage crochet thread in a sort of an off-white, but almost with a little bit of a coffee tone, like a milky coffee sort of colour to it, just to add some definition. I also used a very thin cotton, which was in a browny black, to just add a little bit of definition around there. Hopefully you can see that okay. I'm not sure with the sun shining in. So I'm just adding little stitches with this crochet yarn just to add some extra definition around where the white cotton is. And I just put some hand cream on, and my fingers are a bit slippery on the needle. And also, once you get all these stitches in, it does, like if you're trying to then stitch through a stitch, it can be a little bit on the tricky side. But I don't need to add too many more stitches here. Travis has just come back from his walk with his dad. I took him for a walk early this morning down to the water. He had a little paddle. It was quite a cool morning here, which was nice. Definite chill in the air. But now the sun is out, so if the sun stays out, I imagine it will get quite warm. Not summer warm, obviously, but a nice warmth for winter here in Australia. Because it is that little bit more humid, when you get that warmth in the air, it just feels even warmer than it actually is. My fingers really are slippery. I probably should not have put hand cream on, but otherwise my hands are very, very dry. Okay, so I think we'll finish off the cat there, and then we'll do some other stitching. So many stitches on the back there. I don't know if you can hear the bird song, but also people constructing. Mallacoota was affected very badly by fires a few years ago. I'm not sure if this is construction from the post-fire or just people sort of doing construction works that they'd be doing anyway to build houses, etc. So I think I'm going to add some more. I've started adding little French knots to the flowers here, and we can finish off the two over here. So I've just got 3 strands of embroidery floss, and then for the French knots, you can do 1 or 2 twists. I'm just doing a single twist here, and then holding the thread and passing it back down through. Always a bit harder when you're filming because you're having to sort of hold it in the right spot. Travis has found a nice little sunny spot behind me on the deck, enjoying the morning sunshine. We've found he's been getting so tired from all the holiday adventures, so he just conks out in the evening. So I like the French knots just to give a nice little centre to the flowers. I've also done some beading as well, and I thought we might do some beading on this flower I bought away. I'll show you my little bead supply in a moment, which you can see over in the side of the shot. One more in the centre of that one, I think. You want them just to kind of be clustered little knots so they look like the little centres of the flowers. You just want to hold that end as it goes through so it doesn't sort of knot up and so that it does actually go through properly. It's hard if you get a little bit where the ribbon embroidery is. Sometimes it can be a little bit hard to pull it through. But I had such a lovely time doing that ribbon embroidery. I was a little bit trepidatious about it at the start because I haven't done much ribbon embroidery. But once I got into it, it was yeah, such fun, and I just love the effect that it's given on this piece. Do a few more here. The birds are having a merry old time out there, singing away. As well as I mentioned, the construction sounds, but that's okay. People have to be able to build, renovate. Oops, I've got a little knot at the back, I think. Still got a knot. What's going on at the back here? I wonder if it's just where it's catching a little bit on the ribbon embroidery. Yep. Let's just finish off our little knots here. Might just do one more knot down there, I think. And then we can move on to doing some beading. Okay, let's tie that off at the back. Leave some little threads for the birds to build nests with. Okay, so when I'm travelling, I obviously can't always bring a huge stash. We were just travelling in the one car this time, so I had to limit myself a bit. So I used this old, well, it's not that old actually, metal pencil tin. And I put just a mix of beads and sequins in the bottom. I had some mixed ones that were already mixed colours, and then I just had a look in them and put in some additional colours as well. And the tin comes with an inner tray that sits like this, which is good if you then want to just sort out some colours that you want. And I was also able to put some additional ones that were some other sorted mixed beads, and then it just, yeah, closes up. Mixed beads with a little label on it. So that's one way that I bought some supplies. I've also been making very good use of my project envelope, even as you can see, using it as a pin cushion because it's got a nice felt inside it. And so that's what I had in the car with me, and it sat on my lap like this, and then I had all my threads and my little magnetic needle holder in it as well. This is great because the needles just are magnetically held in it, so that's super handy for travel. And I've even got some little bits of fabric and other things in here as well, but it was a great way just to have everything I needed, and then when I needed to stick a needle in while I was traveling, I could just easily do that. It's a very loud bird, isn't it? So that was, yeah, my little project envelope was really, really handy. It's still got even garden bench, which is this piece, and I just adore that lace there. So I think we'll do some beads, and I was thinking we can do some yellow beads in here and then some little reddy beads down in these little flowers down the bottom. Now I'll need to get out my beading, and I'll put these other needles away as well, just so we don't get in trouble for leaving needles around the place. So there's a nice thin beading needle there, and we will need some, I guess I could use this thread, just a single strand of this embroidery floss for doing the yellow beads. I think that will go okay. So I'll just get a single strand happening. But yeah, I like the tin because I can sort of see them all in the bottom. It was quite easy to then pick out the colours that I wanted just with a needle and just drop them into the upper sort of sorting section. So I think that's going to work quite well. I might just close the main beads because I don't want to knock them and have them go everywhere. Now my needle. The beading needles or milliner's needles, they tend to have a very small eye, so a little bit of a degree of difficulty in getting them threaded. In fact, that one I think I'll just need to trim the end. Always good to give it the end a trim, so that you're not trying to thread something that's already a little bit broken up. Let's see, hopefully we've got it now. I think we have. Okay. Let's tie a knot. Slide it down, and then let's do some yellow beading. Not quite sure what flower I made here. I just made it look colourful with nice little lines going out. And you've got a nice sharp beading needle that goes through quite nicely through the fabric. And so I'm just putting 2 stitches in just to hold them because I want to have them sort of pointing out like that one there. So we had a few more power outages yesterday, and the dishwasher has stopped working. So that's definitely a first world problem. So I've let the lady know who we are renting this place through. So it came up with an error code. We tried sort of following some YouTube video instructions for how to reset, but it doesn't seem to want to reset. So. Isn't it amazing, YouTube? The answer for so many things. Many hours of stitchery fun, but also sometimes good for fixing household appliances. I always think beading's probably not the most exciting thing to watch, but hopefully you're stitching away yourselves, working away on a project. If you are, let me know what you're stitching at the moment. Are you busy working on your Roxy Journal of Stitchery piece? Are you planning out your next Roxy Journal of Stitchery piece, or are you doing a different collaboration? Or your own little project? Would love to hear. It's funny, these little yellow beads, they're all just slightly different sizes. But things in nature are as well, I suppose, so. Keep going around the outside here. Don't know, I might need to get some more yellow beads out of the little bead case, I think. Definitely don't want to poke myself with this needle. It's a very nice little sharp needle. Just picking up. The sun is definitely shining now. I've still got my puffer jacket on because it was a bit cool when the sun wasn't out before, but it's definitely getting nice and warm now. Travis the pup is snoring and snoozing soundly over behind me. He's got the holiday vibe worked out. When he was a puppy, he was always so excited to be wherever we were. It was hard to kind of get him to rest a bit, but now that he's a bit older, he's got it figured out. I think he's happy because he can hear my voice and he knows I'm close by. It's like he's got a second sense for me. If I'm moving around the house somewhere, it's like he has to come and find me, see what's up. Even in the morning, I swear he senses, even though he's not in the same room, senses when I've rolled over. This morning I'd actually just woken up and then, within merest of moments, I heard him trotting down the corridor, coming to investigate. But he had a nice sleep in this morning. I think it was because it was cold. He had his little blanket on him and he was quite happy snoozing away. There is something nice about cold mornings and being snug. There's another beautiful sunrise this morning as well. I'll be taking Travis down the ocean beach a bit later on, over lunchtime. Alex's last day of remote working before he goes properly on holidays. So I think he's got some meetings on this morning, so I'll leave him sitting at the kitchen table. I'm quite happily set up out on the deck. I need to put one more stitch in this one just to It's funny, towns are very small places. There's when I was in the op shop the other day, day after we arrived, 2 days ago, I think, first op shop. The lady was lovely in that she went outside and said, I'll watch Travis while you have a look inside. I'll just take my coffee out here and keep an eye on him, because I wasn't sure I really wanted to leave Travis sort of unattended. We don't, definitely in Melbourne, would never leave him unattended anywhere outdoors. there's too many people that steal puppies or otherwise, or he might sort of, just get a bit distressed being away from us. But she kindly said, oh, no, it's very safe here, but I'll go and stand out with him and you can have a look around in the shop. But as I was chatting to her, as she was telling up my goodies, once I'd bought a few things, including those fabulous bargain handkerchiefs, lacy handkerchiefs, she said, oh, are you staying at the foreshore, like at the campground? I said, oh, no, we've rented a place here. And I said, oh, we rent through a lady called Amelia. And she goes, oh, Amelia's my next door neighbour. So it's a tiny, tiny world. It really is. And then I said, oh, we used to stay at another place, but it went off the sort of holiday rental market. And she goes, oh, no, they've just started renting it themselves now. So she knew all the ins and outs. So in one conversation, all the small town news. And even at the op shop yesterday, I was chuckling because the lady said, oh, those little napkins you've selected, I donated those to the op shop. Someone else bought the tablecloth, but they didn't buy the little linen napkins. So I think she was quite happy. She said, oh, they've never been used, which I always find a little bit sad, I must admit, when people have held on to something all their lives, never used their beautiful little things, and they're now just going into an op shop. Okay, so I am back after my recording stand collapsing on me twice. I thought I'll just carry on and finish the beading of the flower that I was working on, and then I've also added some little beads to the flowers down here. So I thought I'd give you a look at the finished piece. So this is all done now. So these are the flowers where I just put in little beads. I just used a brown thread with them because then the little bits of thread you see just add some dimension, like the flower is sort of going into a center. So it gives a bit of depth when you use a darker cotton. Then you can see where I've done my ribbon embroidery and just made a sort of a rosy shape. Here I just did some little loops. Just like little blooms, not sure what flower that is. There's one of my gorgeous cats. I just love the thread embroidered cats. Got some tulips, which came out really nice. I used I just was using scraps of the ribbon embroidery that I had loose. And then I've got some more over here, looking lovely, tulips. Got the cat, another thread embroidered cat. Some gorgeous little French knots, lots of French knots, just to make some little clusters of flowers. Some more smaller, I guess they could be sunflowers or maybe dahlias. I always forget how to pronounce that. With little French knots in the center. There's the beaded one I was working on. So that's lovely. I've got another beaded center of a sunflower, small little thread embroidered flowers there, another ribbon embroidery, some more little thread embroidered with little French knots in the middle. And then we come up to some more of the gorgeous cats. These two very happily, one sitting on the chair, one sitting underneath. And then we come up to the rose garden. And as you can see, I've done lots of tiny stitches all over the greenery. With this section down here, I haven't yet done the stitching over the greenery. I thought I'll probably need to anchor these pieces onto the base piece that's going to make my larger wall hanging, and so I might even do some of that stitching when I'm actually doing that anchoring down, and I'll probably still need to pass back up over this area with those little stitches. But yeah, let's just have a look at our little cat friends down there. Travis was getting a bit restless, but he's now sat down in the sunny spot there for him. And yeah, they're the roses I did with some of those beautiful variegated razzle dazzle threads. And then my bullion knot sunflowers and lots of beading, more bullion knots, lots of little flowers. And then we go into my fabric collage of my moonlit wildflower garden with my always very rustic looking grasses from a fringy bit of fabric. There's my path. Hopefully you can see it's got a sort of looks like little tiles, little stepping stones on it. catches in the light. Beautiful beaded piece as part of my moonlit wildflower garden. And then back to the lake at the back and a moon hanging in the sky. So that's my finished piece. I'm really pleased with how that's all come together. It's a beautiful long panel. It could even just stand alone, but I am going to be bringing all my Roxy Journal of Stitchery pieces together into a two wall hanging. So that will be the next step, to start stitching these down, because I'm pretty confident I'll be able to incorporate whatever the last prompt is into my existing pieces in some way, or into the background pieces of the wall hanging. I'm actually wondering if the last prompt will actually be like a sign for the garden that says down the garden path, because we haven't yet had a prompt that asked us to put down the garden path. So I'm wondering if maybe that's what we'll get as that prompt. Before I sign off, I need to show you, because I brought it out, so let me actually show you properly. This is the pelmet, or the piece of sort of small pleated curtaining that I got from the op shop the other day, and just wanted to show you how much fabric I got out of a single bit of pelmet. So that's the end of it here, and I'll just drag it by so you can just see this is doubled up as well. It's on a coat hanger, and it's masses and masses. See, so much fabric. And what I've also got from it, which is really super and usable, so everything that I've got from it I'll be able to use. I got some lovely twine, and it's like a nice cotton. I also got, let me just undo this. This was what was causing sort of making the pleating, and it had these little clips in it. But again, this is going to be a nice either an accent, because it's got sort of like just a nice woven detail, or even sort of putting little stitching or letters in. Maybe even I'll have to see how much it frays when it's cut, even cutting little sections to do my own little sort of labels, like made by Christine or something. So I'm sure I'll be able to use that, or even just sort of reinforcing, because it's got a bit of nice stiffness to it, reinforcing around something. So not going to waste that. And then I was left with these little clips, and I thought it's a shame to throw them out, because I don't like putting plastic into the waste stream. So I was thinking, would I be using them in a piece and maybe having something dangling off them, which is a possibility, and you could even sort of thread wrap them potentially. But then I discovered they actually work really well as little clips. So if you were wanting to clip two bits of fabric together and not to have pins poking you, they are actually fabulous. Oops, get it on camera. Fabulous little clips. Particularly if you get some doubling up of fabric. So say I had this and I wanted to clip it together, just slide them on. Oops, let's get somewhere they can slide on. And they'll just keep the two bits of fabric together without being pinned. So probably better not for particularly flimsy fabric. But I'll definitely keep those and use those, because me and pins are not the best of friends. But yeah, that's going to be fabulous. And I'm thinking I'll turn this into one of my little project envelopes, like this one. I think it's going to be a heavy enough fabric that if I doubled it over, it would make a really nice one of these envelopes. And potentially then, before I stitched it all together, I could do some thread painting, because I think this design would work really well with thread painting on it also. But I am going to sign off now. I'll let you get back to your days. Thanks so much for watching, and take care. Bye, everyone.